Morning, everyone. We usually start with a half-hour meditation on Sunday morning so you can get yourself settled into a comfortable enough position for the body for the next half hour. And even as folks are settling into their place in the room, our meditation can begin, and just let the mind receive sounds. It's finding a relaxed enough awareness to let things come and go. And of course, the relaxed awareness is embodied because it's right here that we feel experience, we feel life. And we don't have to force anything, force our way into the middle of the body or to the breath, for example. But simply finding, inviting a relaxed awareness to meet the body, wherever it feels most accessible. You can even open the eyes a little, if that helps. Helps with that felt sense of ease. You might want to let the gaze just be downward, easy. Noticing a point on the floor in front of us. And just resting the gaze there. Or if the eyes are closed, we just rest the muscles of the face. Inviting the shoulders to be relaxed. The belly to be soft. Feeling the most obvious body sensation. Perhaps temperature weight. Remembering that nothing else needs to be rejected. No sounds need to be rejected. Just keep remembering the body, relaxing and feeling what's here to be felt in the most ordinary of ways, in the most accessible of ways. Can relaxation provide a kind of spaciousness with the sensations that are here and now? The experience of life that's expressed here and now. When it seems like there is some spaciousness, we can really linger there for a moment. Take it in. There's still this body, there's still this life, and yet a sense of okayness with it. Sense of ease or spaciousness or something else that you might identify as relief or freedom. And of course, it won't feel like this all the time. In some moments, we'll feel distracted or we'll feel the tightening of the heart. We'll feel resistant to the way it is. Or we'll notice wanting more of something. Maybe even some doubt. Am I doing this right? And those are really beautiful moments, beautiful teachers. So we don't need to be afraid of what we feel. Just let that touch the heart too. Without diving in and becoming it. Without needing to tell a story about it. Just recognize, oh, it's like this sometimes, isn't it? It's very natural, very normal, human experience. And we can see if we can find that spaciousness to just let this be. Feeling the tension of judgment, perhaps. something else. Can this heart invite a sense of ease even with this? There's no need to bear down on it or to study it even. Just let it move. Just as easy as it was to invite sound, just invite the next moment to be expressed in the way it will. The next experience. Letting experience come and go. And what does that feel like? Letting the tightness, letting the space. This heart that can let everything come and go. We'll continue in silence for a bit longer. Take a minute to stretch your legs if you'd like. You want to say hello to someone near you, this is a good time for that as well. Come to say hello in the chat. Do one more quick mic check, especially over here. Are we good? Yeah. How about back there? Great. Hi, Arlita. And Zoomers, you all good? You can hear me? All right. I want to, well, hello again. I'm Shelly Graf, one of the guiding teachers here at Common Ground. Filling in for Mark this morning. He's still in retreat. He'll be back towards the end of the month, right before the Labor Day retreat. So I think the audio is just about to. Yeah, can you just turn it down maybe 1 or 2 notches, Britta? The master volume. Let's try that. Still, is that on 63? Great. Can you still hear me in the back? You still hear me okay over here? Great. I want to share some reflections on the topic of dukkha this morning. And dukkha is this kind of a central axis of the teachings that the Buddha offered. And it's really the hardest thing to understand. I was reading something that Ajahn Chah wrote, and he said something like, given our habits as human beings to want what we want and try to get what we want and try to avoid what we don't want, it's like the hardest thing a human being can do is to reorient to dukkha the way the Buddha asked or the Buddha suggested. And so even what we think we understand about dukkha, I always find that it's never enough. Like my heart just needs the reps, the teachings over and over and over again to be supportive, and really needs, like this heart needs to just live in the questions that we have, because you'll probably notice even in the next half an hour as I share some reflections that there might be places where you go like, well, what about that? And what about that? And this question comes up, and well, what does this mean? And that's exactly how it goes. So we don't have to avoid any of those tensions in our heart, but just keep being curious about what is this, right? Is the Buddha trying to tell me to live in my closet for the rest of my life and avoid life? Or is the Buddha trying to tell me to notice every bit of suffering in and around me that I can possibly notice? Like, am I supposed to just try to absorb it all? That's not it either. Right? So we have to find our way to this deeper understanding through through the tensions, through the questions in our hearts. I was just away at Insight Meditation Society helping lead a retreat for young adults. There were 20 or 92 people there. And the last day of this particular retreat, we usually invite the young people to get in small groups and talk about something that they want to talk about, Dharma related. They post their topics on a board and all kind of group up like that. And when they all got up and exited the hall, like the teachers sat there. Usually we exit the meditation when they exit the meditation. We come back when they come back. So this time they left and we stayed just hanging out in there while they took their 20 or 30 minutes to be in their groups. And I was just looking out at the sea of 92 cushions and chairs, all with these little nests, you know, all these blankets and cushions and props just to find the right body position, you know, and they help, but they don't deliver the goods, right? You know that. The body can get comfortable enough, but it's never going to be perfectly comfortable because of dukkha, actually, right? And there's nothing wrong, like this is the tension. There's nothing wrong with adding a blanket or adding a cushion. And we have to realize that that's not going to be enough, right? So this is part of the challenge here, that what dukkha is, it's something that we learn to embrace as a teacher and find the tensions in our heart and see what we can learn with them, right? There may be a place where we go like, oh yeah, maybe I can live with this. You know, I can live with the body like this. And another blanket's not going to do me that much good. And a time when we think the right thing is actually to get another blanket or put something under my knees. Just in simply sitting, right? This is like basic territory. We haven't even talked about living, right? There's this popular sutta in which the Buddha like had a handful of leaves in his hand, and he said to his students, "What's more, the leaves in my hand or the leaves in the forest?" And they said, "Of course, there's more leaves in the forest." And he was like, "That's right, but I know a lot of things. I know I know as many things as all the leaves in the forest, but what I teach is just this much." You know? It's basically all of the teachings revolve around this question, like, what is suffering? How can I understand dukkha so that I feel into a sense of freedom here and now, even with life on life's terms, even with the way it is? Right? And there were plenty of moments in the Buddha's history before he was the Buddha in which he asked these same questions. You know, there's a beautiful sutta that I love in which he talks, I'll just read a bit to you. I may have read it before, but it never gets old to me. It's like, fear is born from arming oneself. Just see how many people fight. I'll tell you about the dreadful fear that caused me to shake all over. Seeing creatures flopping around like fish in water too shallow, so hostile to one another, I became afraid. This world, it trembles in all directions. I longed to find a place unscathed, but I could not find one. Right? Seeing people locked in conflict, I became distraught. Then I discerned here a thorn, hard to see, lodged deep in the heart. And it's when pierced by this thorn that people run in all directions. One way that dukkha gets described as a kind of perpetual running. But when the thorn is taken out, one settles down. So it's said that the Buddha was practicing here the environmental conditions, like between two warring communities. It feels so visceral to me, this scripture, and so related to what we're up against right now, right? This particular inflection point, social and political history, how things are going, both here in the United States and globally. Right? And it feels like a lament to me. I don't know how it sounds to you, but it feels like This is the Buddha before his awakening, feels like a great lament. And I know this lament. Do you know this lament? Like on any given day, wake up and tune into something that's happening right now. And I might have that lament, like, oh my God, how in the world are we going to get through this? Yeah. And so this turning towards dukkha to find the thorn is not a way of saying that it's not important what we do. That's not what dukkha is. That turning towards is noticing that thorn, like that actual beginning. Where is the beginning of this suffering? Did it begin out there or did it begin in here? And the Buddha would say that it began in here. That every bit of greed, of hatred, of ill will, of deluded action in the world began right here. And in fact, to go a step further, in terms of Buddhist cosmology, it's said that there are many realms of existence. I'm not going to really get too much into that, but they're like heavenly realms where things are relatively pleasant all the time. And there are hell realms, like icy realms and heat realms. And this is not either of those. It's never going to be this human realm where human beings are alive. It's always going to include greed, hatred, and delusion. So what we see here is, how it is. Yeah. And again, it doesn't mean that we don't do anything about it. We're doing something every day. And if we hold back, letting the heart move, then it won't feel good, right? If we hold that back, it won't feel good. And if we try to play whack-a-mole, right? Like somehow outpacing suffering, that won't feel good either. I know that too, right? So it's somehow like what is the thorn is about learning how is the heart understanding suffering right now that is informing the way I relate to life, that's informing what I do, what I don't do. How is the understanding of dukkha relevant right here and now, right? It's not about doing or not doing. It's about understanding something that contributes to the doing. Because when we understand something incorrectly, what we're adding to the world of greed, hatred, and delusion is more greed, hatred, and delusion. And I know that's not what I want, right? And to say one more thing, we often want the world to be a world where compassion exists, right? We want our families to be a place where compassion exists, our personal relationships to be a place where compassion exists, the ways in which we relate to strangers, to people we know, to people we don't know in the world. We want that to be a place where compassion exists, where it's strong, where we're actually leading with compassion. That is not what I feel a lot of the time, right? But if I want to be in a world, in a life where that exists, then I have to take care of that. I have to notice that thorn. So what gets set in motion is compassion and not more ill-being, right? So the Buddha said that it's not accurate to say that life is suffering. Like that just leads us to think, well, what's the point? It's like just suffering, right? But he said that there's suffering, or that's not even the best translation often, I don't think, but it's good and it's good. It is good. And there's others that help too, like unsatisfactoriness, I think is a good translation. Or another one I like, that which is hard to bear. Humanness is like the burden of everyday insults. Yeah. Like the trauma, if you will, of everyday insults, just on a base level. Stress, tension are also good descriptions of dukkha. But probably, I think the one I like the most is this uh, a heart that's out of alignment with natural law. Yeah. And the heart can be so out of alignment that just, like I keep going back to this. Well, out of alignment with natural law, then it's harder to come into alignment with natural law than it is to just dodge it. Oh, I don't care then, whatever. Or, man, there's no time to actually be with this experience of dukkha. I got so much to do. We have so much to do. Those are dodges. But to come into alignment with the natural reality of dukkha on a human level is very challenging. I'm only saying this because I feel it. I'm not saying it because I think you should feel it. I mean, I think we should all feel it. But this is real for me. And it's real for every Dharma student I know, honestly, right? It's the hardest thing to do, to feel where the tension started. Where did it start? And to take care of that. Yeah. And so the first noble truth is this truth of dukkha. One of my friends, Jill Shepherd, is a wonderful teacher in New Zealand. And she says, the truth will set you free, but first it will really piss you off. No, isn't that true? Yeah, so this radical turning inward and to notice where this began, where this suffering began, where this problem actually began right here. So there are two ways the first noble truth can be named. It's like there is suffering points to the universal characteristic of dukkha. It's like just a truth that everybody will deal with, like every human being. It's the reality in this human realm. Right? And that's important because it reminds us that we don't get a pass. This is not a heavenly realm. We'll somehow get to the end of suffering and then things will become pleasant, just pleasant. Yeah. Or as we want them to be. Right? And in fact, dukkha, there's a kind of dukkha that's related to pleasant experience because the heart misunderstands it. We think, oh yeah, I've arrived. And then we realize, oh, wait a minute, it doesn't last. It doesn't last. It was really a good dinner, but now I got to make dinner again tomorrow night. It doesn't last. Or I worked really hard to get that legislation passed, and that's a huge win. But wait a second, there's more, you know? It's like that, right? And so there is suffering makes sense. And also, I like this other way of describing dukkha, like this is suffering, because it really points back to where's the thorn, sweetie? It's very local. Like we get to the root of it here. The root of it is not out there. It's certainly expressed out there. No doubt about that, right? We don't have I don't think anybody would deny that. We just have to look around. Yeah. But if we miss the root of it, then we're really missing something important here. And one of the things that we're missing, the truth will piss us off is true, but it will also really break our hearts. Yeah. And so to look around and feel the impact of greed, of ill will, of hatred, of human beings just not responding compassionately to what it's like to be a human being. I could name a dozen, or I could spend the rest of our time together naming ways in which human beings, our leaders, our fellow citizens, are not living through compassion. I could just keep going. I just learned something new yesterday I didn't know, like a part of the world where there's a conflict at another border. I was like, yeah, right. And the turning towards dukkha is so that we can actually learn something about it. What does it feel like? What are the roots? What are the common dodges? Like, what does this heart do with dukkha? Do we tip into an icy realm where we get cold and disconnected from the reality of things? Does that make us feel safer in a world that's always in motion, in a world that isn't predictable, in a world that isn't safe? Does that help us? Like, to get icy, is that one of the dodges the heart makes? If so, it's great to notice, because that's where we learn, right? We don't have to not feel dukkha. We have to actually get close to dukkha. We have to learn, how does this heart relate to dukkha? Oh yeah, then we feel like, oh yeah, we are in the ballpark of dukkha right now with every other human being. And that's how we learn how to feel a little bit more compassion. Is this an icy hell realm, or is this a overly heated hell room where everything's hot, where I'm angry all the time? Right? There's some misalignment, misunderstanding happening either way, either of those, and everything in between. Right? So the heart comes back into some alignment with the laws of nature when we realize, oh yeah, this is dukkha. This is how the heart just learns how to feel a little bit of protection here by doing this thing, by closing down, but either way, the heart is misunderstanding something. Oh yeah, this is how it is, right? And that question that naturally arises, how does this heart live through this moment, right? How do we live in a way that we can feel like, this feels like I'm doing what I can do. Mark sometimes likes to say, if there's something to do, do it. It's just that simple. If there's something to do, do it. We do this all the time. We pick up a friend, we make a phone call, we bring someone a meal, right? We check in on someone, we show up for someone in whatever way they need to. Yeah, we show up for communities, people we don't know, would jump into some volunteering. It's just a way of like, oh yeah, I want to do something. I am currently looking for a way to be a little bit more engaged in the world. And I've tried different things, and what I notice about that movement is that it actually, the intention to not hold back feels really good. Like, oh, I just don't want to hold back. Compassion moves that way, right? Compassion has that nature to want to move through us. Yeah. And we only feel compassion because of dukkha, right? That's the benefit. That's one of the great benefits of being touched by dukkha, is that the heart that can feel it is living through a kind of well-being that's really useful. The heart likes it. It feels good. The heart feels like, oh yeah, this is the way. It is a really wise way. It's wise. Compassion is very wise because it's in alignment with dukkha, right? And so what I notice about looking, I've done a few different things. I've gone to a few meetings. I've explored some things. I haven't found the thing that's going to mesh with my schedule just the right way. But every time I go, so every time I listen, right, it feels like, oh yes, right, this feels good. It feels good to let life move like this. I don't know if some of you might know, some of you old timers in the room might know Kathleen Zuckerman. Does anybody know Kathleen? I know Patrice does, but Kathleen is a long time community member at Common Ground. Goes back at least as far as me, maybe longer. She was a part of the first book club at Common Ground. Yeah. And she passed away last week after a very acute, an illness that may have been going on for a long time, lymphoma, but a diagnosis and then death within just a few weeks, actually. Yeah. And I saw Kathleen when she was still lucid, uh, about about a week and a half, I think, before she passed. And she was so she was so happy. I was so moved by that. Like, the body is dying, right? And it can't be completely pleasant. She was extraordinarily tired. and only awake for short periods of time. And yet she had joy in her face, and she reminded me of a last conversation we had just briefly. And she stayed awake for about a half an hour. And when I left, her daughter texted me and said that she woke up briefly again and said, "What a beautiful, spontaneous gathering." Like me and another friend was there and some family. And yeah, I was just so moved by the kind of levity of heart that can be there even in the middle of great challenge, right? Even in the middle of that, there's doesn't have to be any denial of the truth of things, and it's hard to believe, right? But when we see it in others, sometimes the way that gets modeled is very powerful. Yeah. So, is there a way to have some to feel into that spaciousness of heart, and what helps us do that? It's like the question of what are we actually doing here on the cushion? What are we doing here? And I think one good response to that is that we are coming into alignment with the truth of nature, the truth of things, right? Which involves that connection with these moments of difficulty and that interest in the spaciousness around it that allows us to connect with the truth of life, right? In many ways. The Buddha said that it's dukkha. Any conditioned experience is dukkha. The body is dukkha, for example, right? It's unpleasant. The body is an unpleasant place to be. A lot. Am I right? Yeah. And one kind of dukkha is called dukkha. It's the ordinary challenge of just having a human body and a human mind, right? Emotional pain, physical pain. Dukkha. Needs two dukkhas because it's so hard. Yeah. It's the kind of dukkha that we all recognize most of the time. And then another kind of dukkha is uh, the dukkha that's there that we sometimes don't even notice it, but it's there even with pleasant experience, because the natural human tendency is to try to hold on to pleasant experience, which we can never do, right? Or to imagine that if we just work hard enough, then this realm is going to be pleasant. It's never going to be pleasant. It's going to be dukkha, right? And then uh, a third kind of dukkha is the most subtle form of dukkha. It's like the dukkha of existence. Yeah. It's those little insults. So just, it's the burden of having to do it all over again the next day. Yeah. Make another meal, take another shower, brush the teeth again. Yeah. The dukkha of existence. But I think there's so many wholesome qualities of mind that are developed alongside the path of understanding dukkha, which is what the Buddha said about dukkha. Like what we should do with dukkha is not try to get rid of dukkha or try to avoid it or try to somehow jump over it, which is we do all of those things. What we should do with dukkha is try to understand it. Sometimes in the scriptures, it talks about abandoning something. And we can, I think, misunderstand that abandoning some unskillfulness, some unskillful quality of mind as like we're supposed to do something with that. We're supposed to get rid of it. But the abandoning it comes from being close to it. The heart learns because it's touched by it where the thorn actually is. Yeah. We don't learn the thorn because you hear me talk about it. Right. Somebody else, you learn because you feel it. Yeah. and we miss it. The Four Noble Truths are called, they're noble, but maybe they are noble, but they're ennobling. They're ennobling because it's something we learn to live into, always like an active process of understanding. In the scriptures, there's something like, maybe I wrote it down here. Patient endurance is the supreme incinerator of the defilements. Patient endurance. Yeah. Patient, the defilements are any of the expressions of greed, hatred, and delusion. But they don't get abandoned because of our will, right? Because of patient endurance. Or patient, I would say, maybe that endurance seems like an athletic event, but it's not that. But how about patient steadiness with this? And the heart gets touched by it and learns right there, learns how we want to live. Like compassion, the heart breaks. That brokenheartedness is like compassion comes from that, right? Like, oh man, it is tough, isn't it? It's tough to be a human being. It's tough to live with human beings, right? When we're just not trustworthy all the time. And it's good to play with language so that suffering feels like a big deal. And it feels like the biggest kind of pain ever. Yeah. And if suffering only feels like the biggest kind of pain ever, I miss all the subtle moments of dukkha in my life. But when we play with the language of like suffering includes these moments of tension, right? And if the suggestion from the Buddha is to get close to that, to feel into it, to know it, that we understand something about suffering, that is the task of the First Noble Truth, is to understand. It's like, this is suffering, this can be understood, or this, the task is to understand it, and then it can be understood. It has been understood. And the distance between understanding something and having understood it might require a lot of patience. Because we might get it and then need to get it again and again and again and again. Do you ever notice your mind ruminating about something that you want? And at first you feel the craving of that, like, oh, I really want a matcha latte. Let's have that one a lot. So good. So pleasant, and I imagine it's going to make me really happy. But often after I finish it, I'm a little disappointed because it wasn't bigger. And I'm already thinking about when I'm going to have the next one, tomorrow morning. If I get through this day, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be rewarded with another one or something like that. I'm going to make it right here, this little fantasy that happens. But often that's the way it is, that the idea comes up and then we feel it. We go, oh yeah, this wanting something to last, to deliver a greater degree of happiness. It's not that there's no happiness, there's some happiness, but it's just not everything, right? We don't notice the root. We haven't really noticed the root of this. there's not a problem in drinking a wonderful cup of something warm and creamy. Yeah, it's a great, one of simple pleasures that we have in this human realm. Good food, good conversation with a friend, something that's pleasant. We should do those things. And if we expect it to make us happy, we're going to lose that battle. Yeah. So the idea, dukkha is caused by craving. So that's the link there. Dukkha is the felt sense, we might say, of craving. That deep wanting something to ease the burden of being human. Might ease it, but it won't go all the way. Right? So the patience comes in when the first thought of something we want comes up, and we realize, oh yeah, that's just craving, isn't it? It feels like this. And then the heart understands that as dukkha. And yeah, it's a weird sound. Understands it as dukkha, right? But there's not enough wisdom to really drop it. And so it arises again 6.5 seconds later. And I go, oh yeah, but wouldn't it be nice? Oh yeah, now it has to be understood again, right? Understand it again and again and again and again and again. Right? That's how the heart learns, until at some point we go, oh yeah, well, I haven't, or me, I'll speak for myself here, because this is all about the matcha. No. When I realized, like, wow, I haven't thought about a matcha in 4 hours. Something like that. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, the heart has understood something, that not every desire needs to be gratified. And there might be, again, this is not a statement about inaction. I'm talking about that and just using something pleasant as an example here to help us get close to it. We can get close to it in a million different ways. What is dukkha? How does it move, right? I want to read something. I know I should stop talking here in a minute, but this is a great book called Listening to the Heart, A Contemplative Journey to Engaged Buddhism, written by Thanissaro and Kittisaro. They alternate, taking turns writing these chapters. It's quite old now, but it's just really a beautiful book. Dukkha is different from pain. Oh, here we go. In meditation, when we bring attention to now, it allows whatever is present to be real for us. For example, we notice the breath, the body, the feelings, and whatever impinges upon our senses. Attention illuminates whatever is here, which is often the experience of dukkha. Attention illuminates whatever is here, which is often the experience of dukkha, right? Let's not try to forget that. It's often the experience of dukkha. Usually, even at a very subtle level, there will be some sense of discontent, anxiety, or restlessness. It's important to know dukkha, not to obsess about it, but just to meet it. It's important because if we don't know it, we continue to generate dukkha from false assumptions. We actually make dukkha. The mind habitually and unconsciously generates it. That's dukkha. And I'm going to skip a little bit. And then he goes, we are doing the suffering. No one is doing it to us. It is because of this that we can free ourselves from unnecessary dukkha. This is not always easy to do. How it is can really challenge us. Yet even though it is difficult, this is a doable practice. Otherwise, the Buddha would not have taught it for regular people like us. For example, I really suffered when the unethical behavior of someone I trusted came to light. It had a devastating impact. I felt betrayed. The theme of betrayal became a powerful contemplation, particularly as there was no resolution. In the end, the situation taught me a lot. I kept reflecting on where the suffering really was. Was it in the behavior of the other, in the divisiveness that followed, in the blame that was projected? I wanted more truth to come out, but it didn't. It stayed hidden in a web of lies. When lies are covered up, it leaves those abused without recourse to justice. This is a powerful theme that runs through human history, people manipulating others for their own ends, while at the same time distracting from their behavior by shifting blame elsewhere. We'd be naive not to understand that the conversion of lies to truths is pervasive in contemporary political and corporate culture. When apprehended correctly, such experiences become the sharpening stones for our wise realism. I love this truth-telling. Like Dukkha invites us into deep truth-telling, right? The exploration of Dukkha. Yeah. It's like this right now. It's like this. And then we still feel, what is it like right now? What is it actually like? How is it actually in this heart? What are the assumptions that the heart is living through in this very moment? He says, to have a conscious relationship to suffering is different than having an unconscious one. We will all experience pain simply due to our incarnation into form. It is part of being human. We experience bodily pains, ill health, fatigue, hunger, thirst. And as we get older, we will feel the pains of aging. That's just the way it is. Freedom from dukkha doesn't mean eternal youth, or that we are never going to have a headache, never going to feel irritation or loss or get betrayed and hurt by others. Freedom from dukkha is not abdication from the human race, but a deeper acceptance of how we are, an acceptance that brings both equanimity and also a clearer response. A clearer response, yeah. And the thing I don't want to forget to say is that we don't experience freedom from dukkha in another moment that doesn't include dukkha. The freedom from dukkha is in the moment with dukkha. It's in the understanding of dukkha. The Buddha said that the cause of dukkha is not understanding dukkha. Right? So that spaciousness with experience gives us a taste of that freedom from dukkha. Right? We don't have to solve all of our problems to experience that freedom from dukkha. We get to be true, be real, like this is the way it is, and find our way to a wise, what did Kittisaro say, a clear response, right? Because we've come in contact with dukkha, right? What is a clear response that doesn't add more dukkha to dukkha? Yeah. Well, thanks for your kind attention this morning. No, we're a bit over, but we have a couple of, Lucy's here for small groups. I think we can transfer host to Lucy in just a minute, but
and
Britta
you be able
has
to...
a couple announcements.
Oh, Shelly, would you be able to share the name of the book again?
Yes. It's called Listening to the Heart, a contemplative journey to engaged Buddhism.
Just a couple of announcements before we go. First, all of our programs are offered on dana, which means that they're free of charge to anyone. There's a couple of ways you can contribute to the center if you like. Your presence here is a form of dana. You can also give money out there in those bins just as you exit the door. There's also a Venmo code and other things. And then the last way is through service. And we have one really great service opportunity that we have coming up here. So the first announcement is there's a day-long retreat for the BIPOC community on Saturday, August 9th. The opportunity for service is a work retreat happening out at our meditation center, the retreat center, Prairie Farms. And that is Monday, August 18th through Friday, August 22nd. And you're welcome to come for one day, for multiple days, for a couple hours. It's very close by, close-ish by.
About an hour.
Yeah, about an hour. So you could come for a bit, volunteer, and then leave. And again, that is Monday, August 18th through Friday, August 22nd. And then the last announcement I have here today is that on Labor Day, there will be a full retreat here at the City Center with Shelly Graf and Mark Nunberg. That'll be from Saturday, August 23rd in the evening. Oh, sorry, it's more than a full day.
Yeah.
Saturday, August 23rd in the evening through Monday, September 1st, midday. And there's space available on Zoom and also space available for a reservation here at the City Center as well. So
Yeah, it's our longest retreat of the year. If you've been on some of our shorter residential retreats and you have the time and you want to join, I'd love to have you with me here at the City Center. Mark will be at the retreat center. It's full out there, but it's great to come here, practice for the day, go home and sleep, come back and do it again for those days. Yeah, and of course, Zoomers jump in there too. So thanks, everybody. If you'd like to stay for small groups here, one of the program hosts, Britta, well, there we go. Yes, thank you.